Okay, let's unpack this. What if I told you that the very word accident, well, it might be misleading, and that what we typically call an accident isn't really considered accidental anymore, at least not in the way we might think.
Exactly. The sources we're looking at actually redefine these events. They talk about them now as a major epidemic of non-communicable disease, which sounds pretty serious.
An epidemic. Wow, okay.
Yeah, and it means they're not just these one-off bits of bad luck. They're seen as multifactorial.
Multifactorial.
Yeah.
So lots of causes working together.
Precisely. Driven by many interacting factors, and they follow this predictable pattern. It's an epidemiological pattern involving an agent, the thing causing harm,
Okay.
the host, that's the person involved,
Right.
and the environment where it all takes place.
So it's like a public health issue almost?
In a way, yes. And this shift in perspective, it's really crucial. It changes these events from, unavoidable misfortune
Right, just stuff happens.
into complex but potentially preventable health issues. Think about a simple fall at home.
Okay.
The agent might be, say, a slippery floor. The host is the person who falls. And the environment. Maybe it's poor lighting in the hallway.
Ah, I see. So it's connecting the dots.
Exactly. Seeing the interacting parts, not just blaming it on, being clumsy or something.
And that's really what this deep dive is all about today.
Yeah.
We're going to explore the, frankly, surprising facts about these incidents. We'll focus specifically on what happens in our homes and also on our roads, looking at the often hidden causes.
Yeah, the why behind them.
Exactly. And crucially, the powerful strategies for prevention. It's all drawn directly from the material you've provided.
Good stuff.
So our mission here is to give you a shortcut, basically, a way to get quickly up to speed on this really important topic. So we've touched on this big redefinition, but maybe before we go deeper, it's worth just quickly revisiting how the sources originally defined an accident, just to see the contrast.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The traditional view, as outlined in the sources, described it as, an unexpected, unplanned occurrence.
Right.
An unpremeditated event that results in some kind of recognizable damage, or an occurrence within a sequence of events that produces unintended injury, death, or property damage.
Unexpected, unplanned, unintended. That sounds like the common understanding.
It does. And that's precisely where the key insight comes in now. While those definitions describe the event itself, the real core of this redefinition is why these things are no longer seen as purely accidental.
Okay.
It's because, like we said, they're now framed as this major epidemic of non-communicable disease.
Right, the epidemic idea again.
And that multifactorial nature means they don't just happen. They arise from a whole bunch of factors coming together, that agent-host-environment framework we mentioned.
So it implies something more systemic, not just
Yeah.
random.
Exactly. Systemic patterns, predictability, which also means potential for prevention.
What's fascinating here is, it's not just about what happened, but really understanding that whole web of factors that led up to it. It totally shifts the lens, doesn't it?
It really does.
Speaking of shifting lenses, let's turn to a place we often think of as our safest spot. Our homes.
The sanctuary.
Exactly. But our homes actually account for a surprising number of these preventable incidents. The material defines domestic accidents pretty clearly.
Yeah, it says those taking place in the home or its immediate surroundings, but importantly, not connected with traffic, vehicles, or sport.
Got it. So inside the home, or like the garden maybe.
Right. And while home feels safe, the research digs into a pretty varied list of common causes for these domestic accidents. And, many are preventable.
Okay, what kind of things are we talking about?
Well, things like drowning, maybe in a bathtub or pool. Burns are a big one, from flames, hot liquids, electricity, even chemicals.
Oof.
Falls, of course. Poisoning is another serious one. Could be medications, insecticides, rat poisons, even things like kerosene, if not stored properly.
Things often kept under the sink.
Exactly. Then there are injuries from sharper pointed instruments, knives, tools, and even bites or other injuries from animals in the home.
Wow, that's quite a range. And it's not just the obvious physical hazards, is it? The sources mention other factors too.
No, that's right. They highlight less obvious but really significant contributing factors. Things like actual defects in the home's structure or environment.
Like faulty wiring or a broken step.
Could be, yeah. Also, issues like overcrowding can increase risk, and something the research calls low safety consciousness.
Low safety consciousness. What does that mean, basically?
Essentially, a lack of awareness or maybe not prioritizing safety enough in daily routines.
I see. So that complex mix of things really underlines why the sources say primary prevention is the most effective approach for domestic accidents.
Absolutely. It's all about being proactive, not just reactive.
So how do we do that? What are the strategies?
Well, there are several key areas. First off, safety education. That's huge. Starting with kids, teaching them about hazardous stuff, how to use electrical things safely.
Makes sense. Start them young.
Definitely. Second, environmental improvement is critical. That means, storing toxic things safely, locked away, out of reach of children, using fire guards, making the space inherently safer.
Okay, so fixing the environment, teaching people. What about when something does happen?
Good point. Training people in the community, neighbors, family members in basic first aid can make a massive difference in those first few minutes after an incident.
Right, immediate response.
Then you've got more specific prevention tactics. For drowning, for instance, it mentions engineering methods like barriers around pools or ponds.
Physical barriers.
Yeah, plus legislation to enforce those things, and education to make people aware of the risks and what to do.
Okay.
For burns, it's similar. Comprehensive prevention strategies, but also ensuring better medical care is available, especially, the sources note, in low and middle income countries.
That access to care is vital.
Absolutely. And more broadly for the home environment, fixing those structural defects we mentioned.
Right.
Also, promoting general order and cleanliness, the old a place for everything and everything in its place idea. It actually reduces hazards.
Less clutter, fewer trip hazards.
Exactly. And finally, targeted health education, specifically aiming to tackle carelessness, which the sources identify as a really predominant factor in many domestic accidents.
Right. So education, environment, response, specific tactics. A whole package deal.
It has to be.
It's clear that being proactive at home is key. But moving outside the home, the statistics around road traffic accidents, they're just, staggering. Especially looking at data from places like India. It really forces us to dig into what's going on there.
Oh, absolutely. Road traffic accidents, or RTAs, they unfortunately top the list of accidents in India, according to these sources, and the numbers are actually increasing.
Increasing. Why?
Well, the sources point to increased mechanization, a massive surge in the sheer volume of traffic on the roads, and sometimes issues with unskilled or poorly trained drivers.
A combination of factors again.
Always. And these aren't just personal tragedies, though they are devastating. There's a significant economic loss, too, for individuals, families, and the nation.
I can imagine. What do the numbers actually look like?
Okay, get this. For India, in 2019 alone, 449,002 accidents reported.
Wow. Almost 500,000.
Resulting in 151,113 deaths.
Oh, my goodness.
And 451,361 injuries. It's huge. And globally, RTAs are the leading cause of death for young people aged 15 to 29.
The leading cause. For that age group, that's profound.
It really is. A massive impact on a generation.
So when we talk about the causes, where do we even start? The sources say human factors are responsible for, 85% of all accidents?
That's a figure cited, yeah. A huge proportion.
Does that just mean people making mistakes, or is
No.
it more complicated?
It's definitely more complicated than just driver error. When the sources talk about human factors, it's a whole web of issues.
Okay. Like what?
Well, there are physical aspects, maybe inadequate vision or hearing that hasn't been corrected. Then there are physiological things. The sources mention, for instance, that women statistically tend to be involved in fewer accidents than men. Age is a factor. Younger drivers and very old drivers are generally more prone to accidents.
Okay. Demographics. Yeah.
Time of day matters, too. Accidents often increase with fatigue. Experience level is key. New drivers or even new employees in driving jobs tend to have more accidents initially. And even just working longer hours can increase risk.
So it's not just about that split-second decision, but the driver's overall state and experience level leading up to it.
Exactly. And then you layer on the psychological factors.
Okay. What falls under that?
Things like carelessness, sure, but also inattentiveness, overconfidence thinking you're invincible.
We've all seen that.
Slow cerebration, just slower reaction times, perhaps. Ignorance of rules, inexperience, emotional stress, being upset or angry while driving.
Big one.
Huge. And even the concept of accident proneness, though that's a bit debated, the idea that some individuals might be consistently more likely to be involved. And then, of course, impaired driving. This is massive. Alcohol is cited as a direct cause in 30 to 50% of severe RTAs.
30 to 50% just from alcohol.
Yeah. And having a blood alcohol concentration, or BAC, over 0.04 grams per deciliter significantly bumps up the risk. Then there are drugs, things like barbiturates, amphetamines, cannabis, so they all severely impair driving ability.
Right. And I guess we have to mention distracted driving now, too.
Absolutely. Very modern, very prevalent, largely down to mobile phone use by drivers, but other distractions too. It's a major contributor.
So the human element is clearly dominant, responsible for that 85%. But you also mentioned environmental factors playing a role earlier.
Yes, absolutely. They might not be the primary cause as often, but they definitely contribute.
What kind of environmental factors?
Well, the physical environment itself, think extreme temperatures, really poor lighting or glare, high humidity even.
Okay, weather and light.
Then road conditions. This is a big one. Defective road surfaces, potholes, poor street lighting, badly designed junctions or crossroads. Even poorly placed speed breakers can sometimes cause issues.
So the infrastructure itself.
Definitely. And related to that is traffic management. Poor traffic regulation, rules not being enforced, or a lack of separation between fast vehicles, slower ones like cycles, and pedestrians. That mix can be dangerous.
I can see that.
Vehicle issues also fall under this umbrella. Things like having a lot of old, poorly maintained vehicles on the road, a large proportion of two-wheelers, which are inherently less stable, overloaded trucks or buses.
Right, the vehicles themselves.
Yeah. And then there are behavioral factors that are sort of environmental, like a general disregard for traffic rules in a particular area, or even unpredictable behavior from people or animals suddenly entering the road.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, the sources even mention economic factors, like bus drivers being paid on commission, which might incentivize them to race or drive dangerously to get more fares.
Wow, that's a factor I wouldn't have immediately thought of.
It shows how wide-ranging the influences can be.
That really paints a comprehensive picture. And the sources, they get even more specific with data from India, right? Highlighting particular patterns there.
They do. Looking at the Indian context for 2021, the data show that the majority of deaths, 55.4%, were attributed to overspeeding.
Over half, just from speed.
Yeah. Dangerous or careless driving, including unsafe overtaking, caused another 29% of accidents.
Okay.
And where these happen is interesting, too. The highest number of fatalities occurred near residential areas, about 30.2%.
Near homes. That's surprising.
Followed by factory or industrial areas, and then near schools or colleges. And a significant chunk, 29% of fatalities, were on national highways, highlighting the risks on major arterial routes.
So speeding, dangerous driving,
Right.
specific locations, it really drills down.
Yeah.
But, the most powerful message coming through from the sources is that these are caused. They aren't inevitable.
Exactly. That's the crucial takeaway.
Which brings us, thankfully, to the more hopeful side of this deep dive, prevention.
Indeed. And the fundamental principle here, as you said, is that because accidents are caused, they can be prevented. They are not just fated to happen.
Right.
But it requires a strong intersectoral approach. It's not just one ministry or department's job. It needs multiple agencies, multiple strategies, all working together.
Okay, so what does that actually look like? How do we translate that understanding into making our roads safer?
It means rolling out a really comprehensive, multi-pronged strategy. You can't just do one thing.
Right. So what are the prongs?
Okay, first prong, solid data collection and ongoing research.
Yeah.
You need to know the problem intimately.
Makes sense.
That means having basic reporting systems that capture good information, doing special surveys to dig deeper, and in-depth studies to really pinpoint the risk factors and the circumstances surrounding accidents.
Like forensics for accidents.
Oh, kind of, yeah. There's even a field called accidentology mentioned, which is dedicated accident research, gathering precise info, correlating data, finding new ways to maybe influence human behavior for the better, and constantly checking if the control measures we put in place are actually working.
So step one is really understanding the disease, so to speak. Once we have that understanding, what's next for prevention?
Exactly. Step two is safety education. We talked about it for homes. It's just as critical, if not more so, for roads.
Who needs educating?
Everyone, really. It should start early, with school kids learning basic road safety. It needs to extend to drivers, covering not just traffic rules, but also basic vehicle maintenance. Knowing your car is safe is part of it.
Good point.
The sources also mentioned teaching first aid specifically to young workers who might be involved in road situations, and crucially, working to change those fatalistic attitudes, the "it won't happen to me," or "if it's my time thinking.
How do you change that?
Well, the sources use a really powerful analogy. If accident is a disease, education is its vaccine.
Wow. That really frames it, doesn't it? Education is a protective measure.
It does. It emphasizes the preventative power of knowledge and awareness.
Okay, so data, education. What about more direct physical measures?
Right. Prong 3, promoting and, importantly, enforcing safety measures. This is where things like seatbelts and helmets come in.
The basics.
The absolute basics, but incredibly effective. Research shows seatbelts can cut fatalities and serious injuries by around 50%.
50%.
Yep.
Just from buckling up.
Yeah. And safety helmets for two-wheeler riders. They can reduce head injuries by about 30% and fatalities by 40%. Huge impact.
So making these mandatory is key.
Mandatory and enforced. It also includes things like ensuring kids are properly secured in vehicles, preferably in the back seat, definitely not the front, using effective door locks, and it even goes into vehicle design itself, using things like laminated, high-penetration resistance windscreen glass to reduce injury from shattering.
So it's personal actions plus safer vehicle standards plus making sure people actually follow the rules.
Exactly. It all links together.
And what about impairment? We talked about alcohol and drugs being major causes.
Prong 4, control of alcohol and drugs. This is non-negotiable for road safety.
Oh.
Well, first, clear advice. Total avoidance of alcohol and any impairing drugs. Barbiturates, amphetamines, cannabis if you're going to drive, period.
Right.
And second, strict enforcement of blood alcohol concentration limits. Roadside breath testing is mentioned as a critical tool for this. It acts as a deterrent as well as catching offenders.
Okay, makes sense. Now, what about after an accident has already happened? How do we improve outcomes then?
That's prong 5, improving primary care and emergency services. This has to be seen as a fundamental part of the health service.
Not just an afterthought.
Absolutely not. It means proper planning, organization, management of trauma treatment right from the start. Emergency care needs to begin literally at the accident site.
The golden hour.
Precisely. Continue seamlessly during transport, and then conclude in a well-equipped hospital. The sources talk about establishing dedicated accident services organizations and specialized trauma care hospitals, especially in big cities.
That really shows how comprehensive this needs to be, from preventing the crash in the first place right through to expert medical care afterwards.
It's a whole chain.
Yeah.
And there are more links. Prong 6 is actively working to eliminate those causative environmental factors we discussed.
Like fixing bad roads.
Exactly. Improving road design, imposing sensible speed limits that fit the road type, clearly marking danger spots like sharp bends or accident black spots.
Okay.
Prong 7, consistent enforcement of laws. This isn't just about drink driving. It covers proper driving tests, checking medical fitness to drive, making sure safety devices are being used, regular vehicle inspections, even periodic retesting for older drivers to ensure they're still safe.
Keeping standards high across the board.
Yes. And finally, prong 8, rehabilitation services for those who are injured. Not just medical rehab, but comprehensive support, social, occupational, to help people recover their lives as much as possible. And all these measures, they collectively add up to what we call road safety. It's the huge, crucial aspect of overall injury prevention.
It's not just one thing.
Not at all. It involves everything from individual behavior, following rules, driving safely, to systemic support, like making safety devices mandatory and available and having good infrastructure. The sources mention India's National Trauma Care Program as an example of this kind of systemic effort.
What did that program do?
Well, its aim is to reduce preventable deaths and disabilities from RTAs by setting up a whole network of trauma care facilities across the country, and also by developing better surveillance, tracking the problem, and running awareness campaigns.
It really shows that large-scale coordinated effort is possible and necessary.
It's the only way, really.
Wow. What a profound journey we've really taken through the world of accidents today. I mean, starting with that completely new definition.
Yeah, shifting from bad luck to preventable epidemic.
Exactly. And then peeling back all those layers of causes, both in our homes and on the roads. Things we might not even think about.
The multifactorial nature of it all.
Right. And then ending on this, well, hopeful note about the proactive, multifaceted approaches we can take for prevention.
And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, I think the core aha moment, really, is that idea that accidents are caused and therefore not inevitable.
That seems to be the central theme.
It really does. And understanding that, knowing they have multiple factors, it fundamentally shifts our sense of responsibility, doesn't it? And also our capability to actually prevent them. It empowers us to look beyond just blaming one thing or one person.
Right, look for the system issues.
And see these complex events as challenges we can actually tackle.
You know, what really stands out to you, the listener, about this deep dive might be this. Once we stop calling something merely accidental and start seeing it, as the sources suggest, as a preventable epidemic.
Well, it demands a completely different kind of focus. A different level of attention.
Yeah. Not just from us as individuals making safer choices, but from our entire systems, our governments, our infrastructure planners, our health services. So the question to ponder might be, how does knowing this shift your perspective on the everyday risks you encounter, and maybe on the role collective effort plays in building a genuinely safer world for everyone?